Oh, hey, welcome to another video. I'm the Real Estate Maestro, and we got some juicy stuff to get into today. We got 3 topics, 2 of which are national, 1 of which is local here to DFW. But before we get into it, stop. I want you to hit that subscribe button, that way you don't miss any future videos coming out of this channel. So let's get into it. First topic. You've probably heard about this for the past several weeks, the National Association of Realtors lawsuit that was settled. There's been a lot of misinformation in the media, a lot of misleading headlines. They're doing the best to lie about it. We're going to set the record straight here on this channel, okay? We're going to take this one article as an example, and then we're going to talk about what changes are actually changing and the reality of what is really not going to be changing. This is a record, this is an article from the Denton Record Chronicle. Here's the headline, and it does say commentary. The 6% commission is finally dead. Here's what that means for local home sellers and buyers. So, first problem, there never was a set 6% commission by NAR. Commissions have always been negotiable. Maybe realtors have not always done a good job of telling their clients about that or presenting it in such a way, but that's the truth, and it's laid out in our documents. There's never been a set 6% commission, and you're still going to see a lot of 6% commissions in many places. So that's misleading. It goes on here. Denton area home sellers, this is talking about Denton, Texas specifically, but we can apply this on a national level, can finally say goodbye to inflated 6% commissions. Okay, well, not really. The National Association of Realtors' landmark $418 million settlement over commission litigation means agents will finally have to give up the goose. Woo! The association, which represents more than 1 million agents across the U.S., has agreed to rewrite the rules that dictate how agents use the multiple listing service and how commissions get paid. Okay, this wording is off, we'll put it that way. NAR is not rewriting the rules that dictate how agents use the MLS and get paid. They're changing some small things. The bombshell news for the housing market follows ongoing efforts to settle litigation over the industry commissions. Several of the major franchise brokers had already settled pending litigation. NAR's capitulation means the rules dictating how agents operate and get paid will finally see a comprehensive overhaul. Again, it's not really a comprehensive overhaul, and we're going to get into it here. Why the 6% figure? Why is everybody talking about how that's the number and now it's going away? Well, a lot of agents commonly will charge 6%. The reason being that they would then split it with the buyer's broker if a buyer has an agent. So the listing broker is offering the buyer half of their commission that they're getting paid so that the buyer gets paid, or rather the buyer's agent gets paid. And in offering that incentive on the MLS, you're going to get more buyers coming to see your property. It's not rocket science, guys. Here's a document from Keller Williams that's laid out 4 rule changes that came out of this settlement and are going to come. But they pre-qualify this by saying the NAR settlement has not yet been approved, which is true, which means that today the way business has been done in your market is the way it continues to be done. If the rule changes are approved by a court, if the settlement's approved by a court, then here's what really will go into effect. 1, you must now use a buyer representation agreement before showing a home that includes these 3 things. You must disclose the amount or rate of compensation you'll get. Your compensation amount must be written into the agreement as a percentage or a dollar amount and cannot be open-ended. 3, you cannot receive compensation for brokerage services from any source for more than the amount or rate agreed to in your buyer representation agreement. Now, this is not new for many, many realtors, including myself. I already require my buyers to sign a buyer representation agreement with me before I will show them houses. And this stuff is already built into the buyer representation agreement, at least here in Texas. So this is not new. It's just now going to be required nationally for all those people who were slacking and did not require this. 2, cooperative compensation can no longer be advertised on the MLS. So this is what I was talking about, where a listing agent who would charge their seller 6% commission would be charging 6% because they're going to offer 3 of that 6% on the MLS to pay a buyer's agent so that the buyer's agent gets paid and that the seller gets more people viewing their property. That's called cooperative compensation. Now it's no longer going to be advertised on the MLS. But that doesn't mean it's going away. Sellers can still decide to specifically offer cooperative compensation, and it can be marketed any place other than the MLS, such as in a newsletter, text message, or a broker's or agent's own website. You cannot market other brokerages cooperative compensation for their listings on your or your broker's website. I'll add to this as well. Sellers can also, in a public comment field on an MLS listing, indicate that they're going to offer a concession in X amount of dollars or a percentage to be applied, to be given to the buyer at closing, for which the buyer can apply that to their buyer's agent to pay their buyer's agent. So again, in reality, not a lot is changing. 3, sellers can still offer a concession to buyers in the MLS. This is what I was talking about. And that concession can be used to pay the buyer's agent should the buyer choose. The concession offer from the seller to the buyer can be noted in the public comment section of your MLS listing. And 4, agents must disclose in listing agreements, buyer representation agreements, and pre-closing disclosures that broker commissions are not set by law and are fully negotiable. Again, many agents already do this, but many agents have not. But the reality is that commissions have always been negotiable, even if realtors have not done a great job of explaining that. So, not much in reality is changing. So don't buy into the media headlines that this is a comprehensive overhaul and a rejiggering of how real estate is done. The reality is that it is still a better thing for sellers to incentivize a buyer's agent with money, however that's paid out, for their commission in order to attract more buyers to their property. And so the way that's being done might be changing a little bit. There's going to be many, many possible workarounds, but there's very specific rule changes that are taking place. It's not a comprehensive overhaul. For our second topic here, this is an article from a great source called Keeping Current Matters. It's called, "Is It Easier to Find a Home to Buy Now?" This is a good article to talk about because many buyers are feeling like it's difficult to get into a home, of course, because of the interest rates. Yesterday, for example, I was checking the daily rates, and the 30-year fixed rate crossed back up just over 7%. So obviously people are not going to be thrilled with that, meaning it's going to be harder, especially for a lot of first-time buyers, to get into homes. That being said, mortgage rates are not the only factor in affordability of homes. Inventory is one of the factors that helps that. When you have lower inventory, prices are going to be up. When you have more inventory, prices may come down. So, is it easier to find a home to buy now? One of the biggest hurdles buyers have faced over the past few years has been a lack of homes available for sale, but that's starting to change. The graph below uses the latest data from Realtor.com to show there are more homes on the market in 2024 than there have been in any of the past several years, 2021 through 2023. So if you take a look at this graph here, you will see, obviously pre-pandemic, so 2020 and prior, inventory in February of each year was hitting around 1 million, okay? Maybe a little more, a little less. Then the pandemic hit, inventory dropped quite significantly. February 2022 was the lowest point for housing inventory nationally. And now we're climbing out of that. 2023 was better, quite better than 2022. And now, February of 2024, there were 664,716 homes available on the market. This is certainly going to create some ease as far as the inventory problem is concerned for buyers. It's obviously not as high as it had been pre-pandemic, but we're getting there, and that's a very good sign. Does that mean that finding a home is easier? The answer is yes and no. As an article from Realtor.com says, there were nearly 15% more homes for sale in February than a year earlier. That alone could jolt the housing market a bit if more for sale signs continue to appear. However, the nation is still suffering from a housing shortage even with all of that new inventory. So context is important. On the one hand, inventory is up over the past few years. That means you'll likely have more options to choose from as you search for your next home. But at the same time, the graph above also shows there are significantly fewer homes for sale than there would usually be in a more normal pre-pandemic market. And that deficit isn't going to be reversed overnight. So again, inventory is easing. It's not where we want it to be, but it is trending in the right direction. Okay, lastly, a little local article here from DFW. There's a new ranking of top earning zip codes in DFW. The 76005 zip code, home to part of the large Viridian Master Plan community, this is in Arlington area, had median household income of $191,250 in 2022. Move over Highland Park. If you're familiar with DFW, Highland Park is a very, very nice, ritzy neighborhood in Dallas. Very beautiful place, but very, very wealthy. You've been bumped down a notch on the list of North Texas's top pockets of wealth by a neighborhood in a city better known for roller coasters, tailgate parties, and auto workers than for mansions, McLarens, and millionaires. Love that. A zip code in Arlington. Yes, Arlington has overtaken Highland Park on Dallas Business Journal's annual list of wealthiest neighborhoods in the Metroplex based on median income. The Tarrant County city of Southlake still ranks number 1 on this year's list, leading the way for the 6th year in a row. Colleyville, also in Tarrant County. Tarrant County is home to the big city. Fort Worth would be the big city. Held its ground at number 2. But North Arlington's 76005 zip zoomed past the Dallas-encircled cities of Highland Park and University Park to occupy the number 3 slot this year. It is the first time for the Arlington zip code, which is quickly being filled with new homes, to make the ranking. So that's pretty cool. Home to over 4,900 people and growing, residents are expected to make a median income of $191,250 or higher to live comfortably in the 76005 zip code, according to the Census Bureau's latest 2022 data. That doesn't mean that every place in DFW is very expensive to live. This is obviously just a particular zip code. There are many other places out in DFW to choose from. We have just passed 8 million, I think, residents in the Metroplex in 2022, I think. We're continuing to draw people to move here because it's such a big area, a lot of opportunity. I thoroughly enjoy living here. And again, a very wide array of neighborhoods and home values to choose from. That's it for you today. Those are your 3 topics. Appreciate you tuning in. Again, I'm the real estate maestro, Creed Miller, realtor here in DFW with Keller Williams Rockwall. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, you can easily reach me at my website, which is yourrealestatemaestro.com. It's also listed on thumbnail for this video. And don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, engage with me about these topics, and I'll be watching the comments, definitely going to reply to them, as many as I can. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video.